Trinidad corned beef and tomatoes with fried bake was a childhood favorite when I lived back in Trinidad, but because I lived in a Hindu household, there was no corned beef to be found or beef within a 5-mile radius. So I always sneaked away to Auntie Jang's house and made a special request. She made the best corned beef and tomatoes and fried bake, and today I'm recreating that at home. If you're interested in learning to make this classic and traditional comfort food, let's start cooking. The struggle to open a can of corned beef is real, and sometimes a fast cook or the intention to make a fast cook turns into an impossible cook because it's so difficult at times to get this right. Can you relate to this, and have you had this similar challenge? After all these years, I finally saw that there was a tiny arrow pointing to the direction it should be turned in. Have you ever seen this arrow? My top 3 tips for opening a can of corned beef would be 1. Not losing the key, 2. Turn in the right direction, and number 3. Turn steadily in a clockwise direction, carefully and mindfully, ensuring that the seal is steady and in one position. There you have it. Successful attempt. If the can, the opener, or you malfunction at any point, use a traditional can opener or eat a can of sardine or salmon. Now I'll start the prep for this classic corned beef with tomatoes. And of course we do need lots of tomatoes. Very ripe, juicy, sweet tomatoes. The traditional corned beef was made simply with onion, garlic, and hot pepper and the tomatoes. But because I love adding flavor and herbs to my cooking, I'm going to add green onion, also known as scallion or chives in Trinidad, and thyme. Hot pepper is optional, and you can use the hot pepper and remove the seeds. If you want flavor, you can use pimento pepper, which is not spicy. But the types of hot pepper you can use are habanero, as seen here, Scotch bonnet, wiri wiri, or ajicito, which is a milder pepper. I also love lots of onion in my corned beef, so I'm going to add half of a large, this is a Vidalia onion. Garlic is life and so very healthy. It also helps to manage blood pressure. So I'm going to add about 4 cloves of garlic today. You can add less or more depending on your personal preference. You can pound with a mortar and pestle, mince, grate, or chop. I'm chopping finely and then I'll pound it with the blender to release some of those flavors and the oils. Next, I'll heat about 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil in a frying pan. I'll add the onion and hot pepper and cook until it softens and becomes aromatic, about 1 to 2 minutes. Raise the heat to medium. Next, I'll stir in the tomatoes and the garlic and a little bit of the scallions. I'll cook for a couple of minutes until the tomatoes surrender to the heat and softens. Raise the heat to high. Next, I'll break up the corned beef on a plate to make it easier to cook once I add it to the pot. Once the tomatoes and onions separate from the oil, we'll add in the corned beef. We'll continue to cook Stirring continuously, breaking up any chunks and ensuring that it's heated through and well combined with the tomatoes and all the other aromatics. Don't forget to also add in the thyme. Chopped cabbage would be another good option to add at this point. And the remaining scallions. Taste and add salt and black pepper if you desire. Normally, corned beef is very salty or contains a lot of sodium, but because this is a low sodium corned beef, I can add salt according to my liking. The corned beef with tomatoes is done. Once it's heated through, it has softened and it tastes absolutely delicious and still moist. Turn off the heat, set it aside if you're making fried bake, or if you want to eat right away, eat it with bread, hops bread, white bread, whole wheat bread, whatever type of bread you enjoy. You can also enjoy it with plain white rice or jasmine rice or brown rice, and a salad or dal and rice. And if you're not hungry yet and you're adventurous and you're up for a challenge, or you have time, you can knead flour for fried bakes. You'll need 4 cups of flour, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, a teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon to 2 of brown sugar, up to you, and about 2 tablespoons of butter, and that's optional. I'll gradually add warm water, about 1.5 cups, and I'll knead on a low speed until the dough comes together. I'll finish it off with some oil on the top and I'll let it rest for a couple of minutes. Now if you want to add yeast to this, you can also add a half teaspoon to 1 teaspoon of yeast. Adding too much yeast will make it just too yeasty and bread-like. Sometimes I don't use yeast, but I leave the dough overnight in the refrigerator and it's just as fluffy and delicious, like I added, some yeast. If the dough is too dry, add more liquid. If it's too wet, add flour, dried flour, about a teaspoon at a time. And knead about 3 to 5 minutes or until the dough comes together and is smooth. Next, I'll bring it together, make it into a ball of dough or a big loya. Rub with butter or oil and let it rest for a minimum of 15 minutes. Next, I'll divide the dough and make small balls. To make a loya, pull the dough up to the top, pinch, rotate and press to seal. And repeat. And while you're doing this, heat a couple of cups of oil in a frying pan, a deep frying pan over high heat, and bring it to temperature. Next, you'll dust the counter with flour and press out the dough into maybe a 5-inch round or as big as you like your bakes. You can do this one at a time and drop it into the oil, or you can roll them all out and fry at the end. Once the oil is hot, drop it into the oil and quickly pour hot oil over the bake. These didn't get a chance to rest, so it needs all the help that it can. Repeat with the remaining dough. These bakes are absolute perfection. They're soft, they're pliable, they're fluffy, they're light and airy, and absolutely tasty. Just look at that. What would you love to eat this bake with? With no effort at all, it has the right balance of doughiness. You see, it does not look as thick as a bread, and it's not too thin and too light. It's absolutely perfect and delightful, and it's going to be delicious with my corned beef. And if corned beef is not your thing, you can enjoy these bakes with just butter, with cheese, with fried egg, with canned salmon and tomatoes. Check out that recipe that I've already posted, or canned sardine with veggies. already posted that recipe as well. I hope you've enjoyed being in the kitchen with me today and learned something new. If you have, please like, share, subscribe for more, and leave a lovely comment below. Until next time, stay safe, be well, cook, share, and love. Bye-bye.